3,000 meters below the surface of the ocean, sunlight disappears completely. The water is cold enough to slow a human heart in minutes, and the pressure is so immense that it would crush most machines designed by humans. It is a place so alien that even today, with satellites orbiting our planet and robots exploring Mars, we still know remarkably little about what happens there. Yet in this silent darkness, a giant moves. Somewhere in the vast Atlantic Ocean, a sperm whale takes one final breath at the surface. The air rushes through its lungs as it arches its massive body, lifting its tail high above the waves before slipping beneath the water. Then the descent begins. At first, the whale glides downward slowly, its enormous body cutting through the blue water. Sunlight still filters from above, casting long, fading rays through the sea. Schools of fish scatter as the giant passes, but within minutes, the light begins to fade. 500 meters, 1,000 meters. The ocean turns blue-dark, then black. By the time the whale reaches 2,000 meters, the sunlight is completely gone. The world here is silent and cold. The pressure surrounding the whale is more than 200 times greater than what humans feel on land. But the sperm whale is built for this. As it dives deeper, the whale's body begins a remarkable transformation. Its heart, which beats around 60 times per minute at the surface, slows dramatically. 50 beats, 30, 20. Eventually, it drops to just 10 beats per minute. The whale is entering a controlled state of conservation. Blood flow is redirected away from non-essential organs and focused toward the brain and the powerful muscles that propel its body through the dark. Meanwhile, oxygen stored in its muscles and bloodstream begins to fuel the dive. Unlike humans, who rely mainly on the air in their lungs, sperm whales store enormous amounts of oxygen throughout their bodies. Their muscles are packed with a protein called myoglobin, allowing them to hold oxygen deep within their tissues. This adaptation allows them to remain underwater for extraordinary lengths of time. 30 minutes, 40 minutes, sometimes even longer. By the time the whale reaches 3,000 meters below the surface, it has entered one of the most extreme environments on Earth. Temperatures hover just above freezing, and the crushing pressure squeezes the whale's body from every direction. Yet the sperm whale continues downward, perfectly adapted to a world that humans can barely survive in. Then, suddenly, the whale releases a sound. A sharp, explosive click echoes through the water. The sound is so powerful that if a human diver were close enough, the shock wave might feel like a punch passing through their chest. This click is not random, it is a sonar pulse. The sperm whale is searching. Unlike humans, who rely on sight to understand their environment, sperm whales navigate the deep ocean using sound. Their massive heads contain a specialized organ called the spermaceti organ, filled with waxy oil that helps focus sound waves into an incredibly powerful beam. When the whale produces a click, the sound travels through the darkness until it strikes an object. Then the echo returns. From that echo, the whale can determine the distance, size, and even the shape of whatever lies ahead. In a world where no light exists, sound becomes vision. The whale clicks again and again. Each pulse spreads through the dark water like an invisible flashlight. Then something appears in the echo. A massive shape drifting silently through the depths. Tentacles. Long arms lined with suction cups, each ringed with tiny hooks sharp enough to grip flesh. This is one of the whale's most mysterious prey, the giant squid. For centuries, sailors believed giant squid were monsters from legend. Stories described enormous tentacled creatures rising from the depths to attack ships. These tales were dismissed as myths for generations, but the truth turned out to be far stranger. When early whalers began hunting sperm whales in large numbers, they discovered strange scars covering the whales' bodies. Circular marks, sometimes nearly a foot across, surrounded by rows of tiny cuts. They were not injuries from other whales. They were the marks of squid suckers. evidence of a battle that takes place far below the surface, a battle that almost no human has ever witnessed. In the darkness of the deep ocean, the sperm whale approaches its prey. The squid senses danger and extends its long feeding tentacles, attempting to latch on to the predator. But the whale is enormous. A fully grown male sperm whale can reach lengths of over 16 meters and weigh more than 50 tons. Compared to the squid, it is a living submarine. The whale opens its mouth. Rows of heavy conical teeth line the lower jaw, each tooth capable of gripping slippery prey. With a sudden rush of water, the whale lunges forward. The squid thrashes violently, wrapping its tentacles around the whale's head. Hooks scrape across the whale's skin, leaving deep scars that may remain for the rest of its life. But the battle is brief. The whale clamps its jaws shut and swallows its prey whole. In the deep sea, survival favors the largest hunters. Yet the sperm whale is not simply a predator. It is also one of the most intelligent animals on Earth. Scientists have long been fascinated by the enormous brain of a sperm whale. In fact, the brain of a sperm whale can weigh up to 9 kilograms, making it the largest brain of any known animal that has ever lived. But intelligence is not measured by size alone. What truly fascinates researchers is how sperm whales communicate. Instead of songs like humpback whales, sperm whales use patterns of clicks known as codas. These rhythmic sequences of sounds can travel for miles through the ocean. To human ears, they resemble bursts of Morse code. Click, 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 click. Different groups of whales produce different codas. Pods living in the Caribbean use patterns distinct from those found in whales near the Pacific or the Indian Ocean. In other words, sperm whales appear to have dialects. Young calves are not born knowing these patterns. They learn them by listening to their mothers and other members of their group, just like human children learning language. This discovery has led scientists to believe that sperm whales may possess something remarkable: culture. Pods of sperm whales form tight social groups known as clans. Within these clans, members cooperate to raise calves, protect one another from predators, and share knowledge passed down through generations. Female sperm whales remain with their families for life. Mothers, daughters, aunts, and grandmothers travel across enormous distances of ocean, maintaining bonds that can last decades. When danger appears, such as a group of hunting killer whales, the clan forms a defensive formation. The whales gather into a tight circle, placing their calves safely in the center while the adults face outward, their massive tails ready to strike. A single blow from a sperm whale's tail can break bones. Even killer whales approach with caution. But perhaps the most mysterious behavior of sperm whales is how they sleep. For many years, scientists had no idea when or how these animals rested. Whales must return to the surface regularly to breathe, so it seemed impossible for them to sleep in the same way land mammals do. Then, by chance, researchers made a startling discovery. While studying a group of whales in the open ocean, scientists noticed something unusual on their sonar equipment. Several large objects appeared suspended motionless in the water column. Curious, the researchers approached quietly. What they found was astonishing. A group of sperm whales floating perfectly vertical in the water. Their bodies hung motionless, like enormous pillars drifting through the sea. They were asleep. The whales remained in this strange position for minutes at a time, breathing slowly at the surface before eventually waking and diving once more into the depths. Why they sleep this way remains one of the many mysteries scientists are yet to solve. And mysteries like this are everywhere in the world of sperm whales, because despite centuries of study, humans have only glimpsed fragments of their lives. We have seen the scars of their battles. We have recorded the echoes of their voices, but most of what they do happens in darkness far below the reach of sunlight. A hidden world, a world ruled by giants. And as scientists continue exploring the deep ocean, one thing is becoming clear. The story of the sperm whale is far more complex and far more extraordinary than we ever imagined.
Long before scientists understood the biology of the sperm whale, humans knew them only as shadows on the horizon. For centuries, sailors crossing the great oceans occasionally encountered something enormous rising from the misty waters. A massive square head would appear first, followed by a plume of vapor shooting into the sky as the creature exhaled. The sound of that breath, deep and explosive, could carry across the quiet sea. To sailors of the 17th and 18th centuries, these encounters were terrifying. Imagine standing on the deck of a wooden sailing ship in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. No land in sight, no engines, no radar, just wind, waves, and endless water stretching in every direction. Then suddenly, the ocean beside you erupts. A creature the size of a bus surfaces only a few meters away. Its head alone can be nearly 1/3 of its entire body length. Its skin is gray and scarred, marked with strange circular wounds left by battles with giant squid deep below the surface. Its blowhole releases a mist that drifts through the air with a strange oily smell. To early sailors, it didn't look like an animal. It looked like a monster. Stories spread quickly across the ports of Europe and North America. Sailors spoke of sea devils, enormous beasts lurking beneath the waves, creatures capable of destroying ships. Some believed these animals were the legendary kraken, the mythical sea monster said to rise from the depths and drag entire vessels underwater. But over time, fear turned into something else: opportunity. In the early 1700s, humans made a discovery that would change the fate of sperm whales forever. Inside the massive head of the whale was a strange substance, clear, waxy, and incredibly valuable. It was called spermaceti. At first, whalers believed it was actually the whale's reproductive fluid, which is why the name sperm whale was eventually adopted. In reality, it was something very different, a special oil stored inside the whale's enormous head cavity. And this oil turned out to be one of the most useful natural resources humans had ever discovered. When processed, spermaceti produced a clean-burning oil perfect for lamps. Unlike other fuels of the time, it burned brightly and produced very little smoke. Cities that used spermaceti oil were illuminated with a clear white light. But that wasn't all. The oil also turned out to be an extraordinary industrial lubricant. It could reduce friction in machinery better than almost anything else available during the early Industrial Revolution. Machines ran smoother because of it. Entire industries began to rely on the oil that came from a single whale's head. Soon, sperm whales became the most valuable animals on Earth. And so, the hunt began. Whaling ships departed from ports like Nantucket and New Bedford in New England. These vessels were not large naval warships, but sturdy wooden sailing ships designed for long journeys across the world's oceans. A single voyage could last 2 or even 3 years. Crews lived almost entirely at sea, constantly scanning the horizon for the telltale sign of a whale. The signal was simple: a spout of mist rising from the water. The moment someone shouted, "There she blows!" the entire ship would erupt into activity. Small wooden boats were lowered into the water, each carrying a team of rowers and a harpooner standing at the front. These men would row toward an animal weighing 50 tons. There were no engines, no firearms powerful enough to kill such a creature instantly, just a long iron harpoon tied to hundreds of meters of rope. The boats approached quietly, closer, closer, until they were only meters away from the whale. Then the harpooner would stand, raise the iron weapon above his head, and throw it with all his strength. If the harpoon struck, the rope attached to it would begin screaming out of the boat as the wounded whale attempted to escape. This moment was known as the Nantucket sleigh ride. The whale, sometimes panicking, sometimes enraged, would drag the tiny boat across the ocean at terrifying speeds. Men had no control. They simply held on. Eventually, the whale would tire. Additional harpoons and lances would be used until the animal finally died. Only then did the real work begin. The whale's enormous body would be tied to the ship and slowly cut apart. Massive strips of blubber were hauled onto the deck and boiled in huge iron pots called tryworks. The oil would be stored in barrels and carried back across the ocean to be sold. A single whale could produce thousands of liters of valuable oil. But the hunt was dangerous, and sometimes the whale fought back. One of the most famous incidents in maritime history occurred in 1820. The American whaling ship Essex was sailing deep in the Pacific Ocean when the crew spotted several sperm whales. As usual, the small hunting boats were launched, but something unusual happened. One of the whales turned toward the ship. Witnesses later described the massive animal swimming directly at the vessel with surprising speed. Then it struck. The whale rammed the Essex with its enormous head. The impact shook the entire ship, splintering wood and opening a leak in the hull. At first, the crew believed the attack had been accidental, but then the whale disappeared beneath the water. Moments later, it returned and struck again. The second blow was catastrophic. The hull of the Essex was crushed inward and the ship began to sink. Within minutes, the crew realized their vessel could not be saved. They abandoned ship and escaped in 3 small whaleboats. Stranded thousands of kilometers from land, the sailors drifted across the Pacific for months in one of the most desperate survival stories in maritime history. Many of them died before rescue finally arrived. News of the attack spread rapidly across the world, and decades later, the writer Herman Melville would use the story as inspiration for one of the most famous novels ever written, Moby Dick. In the novel, a massive white sperm whale becomes the obsession of a ship captain determined to destroy it. But the story also captured something deeper: humanity's struggle against the power of nature. Throughout the 19th century, whaling continued to expand. Ships from America, Britain, Japan, and other nations spread across the globe searching for whales. Entire oceans became hunting grounds, and the whales paid the price. By the early 1900s, sperm whale populations had collapsed in many regions. Some areas that once hosted hundreds of whales were left with only a handful. Scientists estimate that humans may have killed over 1 million sperm whales during the peak centuries of industrial whaling. And because sperm whales reproduce very slowly, their populations struggled to recover. Female sperm whales do not reach sexual maturity until around 9 years of age. Pregnancy lasts approximately 15 months. After giving birth, a mother may wait 5 to 7 years before producing another calf. It is a reproductive cycle designed for stability, not for survival under intense hunting pressure. By the mid-20th century, it became clear that many whale species were approaching extinction. International concern grew. Eventually, in 1986, the International Whaling Commission introduced a global moratorium on commercial whaling. For the first time in centuries, sperm whales were largely protected from large-scale hunting. But the damage had already been done. Even today, sperm whale populations have not fully recovered. Yet as hunting declined, something remarkable began to happen. Scientists started studying whales not as resources, but as intelligent beings. And what they began to discover would change the way humans think about life in the ocean. Because sperm whales are not solitary monsters roaming empty seas. They are members of complex societies. They form families. They share knowledge. They communicate across vast distances using intricate patterns of sound. And the deeper researchers looked, the more it began to seem that sperm whales might possess something astonishing, a form of civilization hidden beneath the waves. But just as we are beginning to understand them, a new threat has emerged, one that whales cannot see, one they cannot escape: the growing noise of the human world. Shipping traffic now crisscrosses the oceans, producing constant low-frequency engine noise that travels for hundreds of kilometers underwater. Naval sonar pulses blast through the sea with powerful acoustic waves.
Underwater drilling, seismic surveys, and industrial activity create an almost continuous wall of sound. For animals that rely on sound as their primary sense, this noise can be devastating. Their voices are drowned out, their communication disrupted, their navigation confused, and sometimes the consequences are deadly. In several documented cases, whales have suddenly surfaced too quickly after being startled by loud sonar pulses. The rapid ascent causes nitrogen bubbles to form in their blood, a condition similar to decompression sickness in human divers. The result can be fatal. Whales strand themselves on beaches, disoriented and unable to return to deep water. Entire groups have been found dead along coast.
For most of human history, the ocean was believed to be silent. When sailors crossed the Great Seas centuries ago, they imagined the deep as a vast, empty darkness beneath their ships, a world of cold water and drifting creatures, mostly quiet and unknowable. But that idea was completely wrong. The ocean is alive with sound. Water carries sound nearly 5 times faster than air, and in the darkness of the deep sea, sound becomes the most important sense an animal can possess. In a world where sunlight never reaches, vision is almost useless. But sound travels for kilometers, sometimes even hundreds of kilometers. And among all the voices that echo through the ocean, few are as powerful or as mysterious as those of the sperm whale. A sperm whale's voice is not a song like that of a humpback whale. Instead, it communicates using sharp bursts of sound known as clicks. Each click is produced deep inside the whale's massive head. Air is forced through specialized structures in the nasal passages, causing thick tissue called phonic lips to snap together like a pair of castanets. The vibration travels through the whale's enormous spermaceti organ, a chamber filled with waxy oil that acts as a natural acoustic lens. The sound then reflects off a series of air sacs and dense tissues inside the whale's skull. By the time the click leaves the whale's head, it has become one of the loudest biological sounds on Earth. Scientists estimate that a sperm whale's click can reach 230 decibels. To put that in perspective, a jet engine at takeoff measures about 150 decibels. The whale's sound is not just loud, it is an explosion of energy that can travel for miles through the ocean. But these clicks serve 2 very different purposes. The first is hunting. In the total darkness of the deep sea, sperm whales use echolocation to find prey. By sending out a powerful click and listening to the returning echo, the whale can build a detailed 3-dimensional map of its surroundings. From the echo alone, it can determine the size of an object, the direction it is moving, and sometimes even the texture of its surface. It is a kind of biological sonar far more advanced than many human-made systems. But the second purpose of these clicks is even more fascinating: communication. When sperm whales talk to each other, they do not simply produce single clicks. Instead, they create rhythmic patterns known as codas. These codas are short sequences of clicks arranged in specific rhythms. For example, one coda pattern might sound like click, 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 click. Another might follow a different rhythm entirely: click, click, pause, click. To human ears, they sound like bursts of Morse code echoing through the sea. But to sperm whales, these patterns may carry meaning. Researchers studying sperm whale communication have discovered that different groups of whales use different sets of codas. Pods living in the Caribbean Sea produce patterns that are completely different from those recorded among whales in the Pacific Ocean. Even within the same ocean basin, separate clans may use distinct clicking patterns. In other words, sperm whales appear to have dialects. This discovery was revolutionary. Language, or something very similar to it, was once thought to be uniquely human, but the existence of dialects suggests something deeper: a system of communication that is learned, shared, and passed down through generations. Young sperm whales are not born knowing their clan's codas, they must learn them. A calf spends years listening to its mother and the other members of its group. Slowly, through imitation and practice, it begins producing the correct patterns, just like a human child learning words. This process may take several years, but eventually the young whale masters the dialect of its clan and becomes a full participant in the group's communication network. And here is where things become even more remarkable. Because sperm whales do not simply travel in random groups, they live in structured societies. Most sperm whale communities are organized around matrilineal clans. These clans consist primarily of females and their offspring. Mothers, daughters, sisters, and grandmothers remain together for life. They migrate across enormous distances of ocean together, sometimes covering thousands of kilometers during their lives. Within these clans, cooperation is essential. When a mother dives deep to hunt squid, another female often stays near the surface to watch over the calves. This behavior is known as alloparenting, a form of cooperative childcare seen in highly social animals like elephants and some primates. The calves are rarely left alone. Instead, they grow up surrounded by a network of protective adults. Over time, these calves learn not only how to hunt and navigate the ocean, but also how to communicate within their society. The codas they learn may serve many purposes. They may identify individuals. They may signal danger. They may coordinate movements between pods. And some scientists believe codas may even contain the building blocks of something similar to grammar. But studying whale language is extremely difficult. Unlike land animals, sperm whales spend most of their lives far below the surface. They can dive for more than an hour and travel dozens of kilometers during a single hunt. Tracking them requires specialized equipment, underwater microphones called hydrophones, and often months or years of patient observation. Even then, researchers only capture fragments of their conversations. It's like trying to understand human language by listening to a few scattered radio transmissions. But in recent years, a new tool has begun to transform this research: artificial intelligence. In 2021, a group of scientists launched an ambitious effort called the Earth Species Project. Their goal is to use machine learning algorithms to analyze enormous data sets of animal communication. Among the most promising subjects of this research are sperm whales. By recording thousands of hours of whale clicks and feeding the data into advanced AI systems, scientists hope to uncover patterns that humans might never detect on their own. These algorithms can analyze subtle variations in timing, rhythm, and frequency across millions of clicks. The hope is that one day, this technology might reveal whether sperm whale codas contain something resembling vocabulary or even structured sentences. If that happens, it would represent one of the most extraordinary discoveries in the history of science. Humanity might finally begin to understand the language of another intelligent species, and sperm whales would become the first non-human civilization whose communication we could potentially decode. But the deeper scientists look into the lives of these animals, the more complex their societies appear to be. For example, researchers have discovered that different sperm whale clans exhibit distinct cultural behaviors. Some clans prefer certain hunting grounds. Others migrate along entirely different routes across the ocean. Even their social interactions can differ. These cultural differences are not determined by genetics. Instead, they are learned and shared within groups, just like traditions in human societies. In fact, some researchers have begun referring to sperm whale clans as cultural populations, communities shaped not only by biology, but by shared knowledge. And yet, despite all these discoveries, enormous mysteries remain. For instance, scientists still do not fully understand how sperm whales navigate the open ocean with such precision. These animals travel across entire ocean basins, sometimes covering distances of thousands of kilometers. They somehow locate feeding grounds deep beneath the surface. They reunite with members of their clan after long dives. They coordinate movements across vast areas of water. All of this occurs in an environment where landmarks are almost non-existent.
Some scientists suspect that sperm whales may possess an internal sense of Earth's magnetic field. Others believe they rely heavily on acoustic mapping of underwater terrain. The truth may involve a combination of several senses we barely understand. And then there is another mystery: sleep. For decades, researchers wondered how whales could rest while still needing to surface for air. Then, in the early 2000s, scientists observing sperm whales in the Mediterranean Sea stumbled upon something extraordinary: a group of whales floating perfectly still in the water column. Their bodies were vertical in the water column, heads pointing upward towards the surface. They were not moving, not feeding, not diving. They were sleeping. Entire pods.
For most of human history, the ocean was believed to be silent. When sailors crossed the Great Seas centuries ago, they imagined the deep as a vast, empty darkness beneath their ships, a world of cold water and drifting creatures, mostly quiet and unknowable. But that idea was completely wrong. The ocean is alive with sound. Water carries sound nearly 5 times faster than air, and in the darkness of the deep sea, sound becomes the most important sense an animal can possess. In a world where sunlight never reaches, vision is almost useless. But sound travels for kilometers, sometimes even hundreds of kilometers. And among all the voices that echo through the ocean, few are as powerful or as mysterious as those of the sperm whale. A sperm whale's voice is not a song like that of a hump.
Far below the waves, where sunlight has never reached, a silent hunt unfolds almost every night. This region of the ocean is known as the midnight zone. It begins around 1,000 meters beneath the surface and extends thousands of meters deeper. Temperatures here are close to freezing, and the pressure is immense, hundreds of times stronger than what humans experience on land. To most animals, it would be an impossible environment. But for the sperm whale, it is home. Nearly 90% of a sperm whale's life is spent in these depths. The whale rises to the surface only briefly, breathing and resting before plunging back into the darkness in search of food. And the creatures it hunts here are among the strangest animals on Earth. The deep ocean is filled with squid, octopuses, and bizarre fish adapted to survive in total darkness. Many of them produce their own light through bioluminescence, glowing faintly in the black water. But one creature stands above the rest: the giant squid. For centuries, the giant squid was one of the most mysterious animals in existence. Sailors told stories of enormous tentacled monsters dragging ships beneath the waves, but scientists had no proof such creatures existed. Then, in the stomachs of sperm whales, evidence began to appear. Hard, indigestible squid beaks, massive hooks, and fragments of tentacles. Slowly, scientists realized that the sperm whale's primary prey in the deep ocean was something enormous, something powerful, something that fought back. Today, we know that giant squid can grow over 10 meters long, with 2 extremely long feeding tentacles that extend far beyond their bodies. Each of these tentacles is lined with suction cups surrounded by rings of sharp serrated hooks. These hooks are designed to grip prey with terrifying efficiency. And when a giant squid encounters a sperm whale in the darkness, the result is one of the most dramatic battles in the natural world. No human has ever directly witnessed such a fight in the wild. The depths are simply too dark, too vast, and too dangerous for cameras or divers to remain long enough to observe. But the evidence is written across the whales themselves. Many adult sperm whales carry scars, circular marks sometimes nearly 30 centimeters wide, patterns of cuts arranged in rings exactly matching the size and shape of squid suction cups. These scars tell a story of struggle. When a sperm whale locates a squid using echolocation, it begins its approach slowly.
The whale emits rapid sonar clicks, building a detailed acoustic image of the prey. The squid senses the disturbance in the water. Instinct tells it something large is approaching. Suddenly, the squid lashes out with its long tentacles, attempting to latch on to the predator. If the hooks grip the whale's skin, the squid may attempt to pull itself away or defend itself with violent thrashing. But the whale is far larger. A full-grown sperm whale may weigh 50 tons. The squid's only hope is escape. The whale lunges forward, opening its enormous mouth. Water rushes inward as the predator creates a suction powerful enough to pull prey directly into its jaws. Sometimes the squid manages to strike first, leaving deep scars across the whale's face. But in most encounters, the whale wins. The squid disappears into the darkness of the whale's throat. Deep-sea battles like this have been occurring for millions of years, long before humans ever sailed the oceans. And even today, they remain almost completely hidden from our view. Yet, squid are not the only prey sperm whales hunt. Their diet includes a wide range of deep-sea animals, octopuses, cuttlefish, deep-water sharks, and even strange fish that live thousands of meters below the ocean surface. In one remarkable case, scientists examining the stomach of a sperm whale discovered the remains of a species of dogfish shark that normally lives nearly 3 kilometers beneath the ocean surface. This discovery revealed just how deep sperm whales sometimes travel. But hunting at such depths creates enormous challenges. One of the greatest dangers for deep-diving animals is decompression sickness, commonly known as the bends. Human divers experience this condition when they surface too quickly from deep water. Nitrogen dissolved in the bloodstream forms bubbles, causing severe pain, organ damage, and sometimes death. For a long time, scientists believed whales were immune to this problem. Their bodies possess special adaptations designed to manage pressure changes during deep dives. For example, the whale's lungs partially collapse as it descends, preventing nitrogen from dissolving into the bloodstream. Their rib cages are flexible, allowing them to compress safely under pressure. And their airways contain extra cartilage rings that store compressed air during deep dives. These adaptations seem to make whales perfectly suited for their environment. But in 2002, something tragic happened that challenged this assumption. During a naval sonar exercise near the Canary Islands, a group of whales suddenly stranded themselves along the coastline. 14 whales were found dead. Autopsies revealed something shocking. Gas bubbles were present throughout their tissues, clear evidence of decompression sickness. It appeared that the whales had been frightened by intense underwater sonar pulses and rapidly ascended to the surface in panic. The sudden change in pressure caused nitrogen bubbles to form in their bodies. In other words, even whales are vulnerable if their normal diving behavior is disrupted. This discovery raised serious concerns about how human activity might be affecting marine life. The deep ocean, once one of the quietest environments on Earth, is becoming increasingly noisy. Shipping traffic, underwater drilling, and military sonar all generate powerful acoustic disturbances that can travel enormous distances through water. For animals like sperm whales, whose entire lives revolve around sound, this noise may be deeply disruptive. Imagine trying to navigate a city while blindfolded, relying only on echoes and voices around you. Now imagine those voices being drowned out by constant explosions of noise. That is the world many whales now experience. But the dangers sperm whales face are not limited to the deep ocean. At the surface, another predator waits: the killer whale, also known as the orca. Orcas are among the most intelligent and coordinated hunters in the ocean. They travel in tightly organized pods, capable of taking down animals far larger than themselves. While adult male sperm whales are usually too large for orcas to attack directly, calves and smaller females can become targets. When a pod of killer whales approaches, sperm whales respond with an extraordinary defensive strategy. They form what scientists call a marguerite formation. In this formation, the whales gather into a tight circle with their heads facing inward towards the center. Their massive tails point outward in all directions like the spokes of a wheel. The calves remain protected in the middle. If an orca attempts to approach, the adult whales can strike outward with their powerful tails. A single tail slap from a sperm whale can break bones or seriously injure a predator. Working together, the whales create a living fortress. In many cases, this formation successfully drives away the killer whales. But these dramatic encounters are rarely seen by humans. Most of the time, the lives of sperm whales unfold far beyond our sight. They dive into darkness. They hunt invisible prey. They communicate across vast distances using clicks we barely understand. And sometimes, when they return to the surface after an hour-long dive, they do something even stranger. They fall asleep, floating vertically in the ocean, like enormous drifting monoliths. It is a behavior so unusual that scientists themselves were astonished when they first witnessed it. And yet, it is only one of many mysteries surrounding these giants of the deep. Because despite centuries of encounters, thousands of hours of research, and incredible advances in technology, humanity still understands only fragments of the sperm whale's world. A world that remains largely hidden beneath 3 kilometers of dark, silent water. And somewhere in that darkness, the ancient story of the sperm whale continues, unchanged for millions of years. A story of deep oceans, of colossal battles, of intelligence and communication echoing through the abyss, and perhaps a story that humanity has only just begun to hear.
Far out in the open ocean, the surface can appear calm. Waves roll slowly across thousands of kilometers of water. The sky stretches endlessly overhead. From above, it seems like an empty world, nothing but wind, clouds, and the occasional ship crossing the horizon. But beneath that peaceful surface, something vast is moving. A sperm whale begins another dive. Its enormous tail lifts slowly into the air before disappearing beneath the waves. Gravity seems to pause for a moment as the giant slips silently into the sea. Then the ocean closes above it. The whale descends. 100 meters, 300 meters, 700 meters. The last faint glow of sunlight fades behind it. Down here, the ocean becomes something else entirely. The water grows colder. The darkness thickens until it feels almost solid. But the whale is not alone. Far below, the deep ocean is filled with movement. Every night, one of the greatest migrations on Earth begins, an event that most humans have never seen and few even realize exists. It is called the diel vertical migration. As darkness falls at the surface, billions of animals rise upward from the deep. Tiny shrimp-like creatures known as krill drift upward in enormous clouds. Lanternfish, small squid, jellyfish, and strange translucent animals follow them. From a distance, this migration looks like a living river flowing upward through the ocean. It is so massive that scientists believe it may represent the largest movement of biomass on the entire planet. And for predators like the sperm whale, it is a feast. The whale releases a burst of clicks, sharp, precise. Each pulse spreads through the darkness like an invisible searchlight. Echoes begin returning. Thousands of tiny reflections from the migrating creatures fill the whale's acoustic vision. To the whale, the empty ocean has suddenly become crowded with life. But the whale is not searching for the smallest animals. It is searching for something larger, deeper, stronger. Another click bursts through the water. The echo returns from far below. A large shape, moving slowly. The whale tilts its head slightly and begins to descend again. As it dives deeper, its clicking pattern changes. The clicks become faster, tighter, more focused.
Scientists call this phase the buzz. It happens when a sperm whale is closing in on prey. The sound pulses so rapidly that it resembles the hum of an electrical current passing through the water. The target moves. Perhaps it has sensed the pressure wave of the whale's sonar. Perhaps instinct alone tells it something massive is approaching. But the whale is faster. Suddenly, the darkness flashes. For a split second, faint blue light flickers in the water. Bioluminescence. Many deep-sea animals glow when disturbed, releasing flashes of cold light into the blackness. The whale lunges. Water rushes into its mouth as the predator opens its jaws wide. For a moment, the deep ocean explodes with motion, tentacles, fins, and glowing streaks swirling around the whale's head. Then it is over. The whale closes its mouth. Another creature of the deep has vanished. The whale swallows and continues moving through the darkness. This process repeats dozens of times during a single hunt. A large sperm whale may eat nearly 1 ton of food every day. Squid make up most of this diet, but the whale's menu can include hundreds of different species, and every dive is a journey into a world few animals can survive. At 2,000 meters, the pressure surrounding the whale is crushing, more than 200 times the pressure at the ocean's surface. At 3,000 meters, the darkness is absolute, yet the whale moves through it effortlessly. But hunting is only part of a sperm whale's life, because far above, near the surface, another story is unfolding. A young calf floats beside its mother. The calf is still small compared to the giants of its species, but even now it weighs nearly a ton. Its skin is smoother, its scars not yet etched by the battles of the deep. For the first years of its life, the calf will remain near the surface. It cannot dive deeply yet. Its lungs, muscles, and oxygen stores are still developing. So while the adults descend into the abyss to hunt, the calves stay behind with the rest of the clan, and they are never left unprotected. Several adult females surround a calf, swimming slowly in a loose circle. They communicate with soft clicks and gentle pulses of sound. These are quieter than the explosive hunting clicks used in the deep. They are contact calls, reassurance, a way of saying, "I am here." This constant communication is essential because the ocean is enormous and a young whale could easily become separated from its family. But sperm whale clans are tightly bonded. When a calf drifts too far away, an adult female will gently guide it back toward the group. Researchers studying these whales have discovered something remarkable about these relationships. Some of the females caring for the calf may not be its mother. They may be aunts, grandmothers, or simply long-time members of the clan. In other words, the calf grows up in something very similar to an extended family, and these bonds can last for decades. As the calf grows, it begins to imitate the adults around it. It experiments with small clicks. It practices swimming patterns. Sometimes it even attempts shallow dives, descending a few hundred meters before returning quickly to the surface. Each attempt strengthens its body. Each dive prepares it for the life that awaits in the deep. But life in a sperm whale clan is not always peaceful, because somewhere beyond the horizon, another group of whales may be approaching. A different clan, with different dialects, different traditions. When two clans encounter each other in the open ocean, something unusual happens. They do not immediately mix. Instead, the whales begin exchanging codas, those rhythmic patterns of clicks that scientists believe carry meaning. Click, 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 pause, click. The sounds echo across the water between the two groups. Researchers believe these exchanges may function almost like introductions, a way of identifying who belongs to which clan. Sometimes the groups simply pass by one another and continue on their separate journeys, but sometimes they remain together for hours, even days. During these encounters, the ocean becomes filled with a chorus of clicking voices, hundreds of whales communicating in patterns humans are only beginning to understand. It may be one of the closest things on Earth to an underwater conversation between civilizations. Yet most of these interactions occur far from human eyes, because sperm whales roam some of the most remote regions of the ocean, places where ships rarely travel, places where the water stretches unbroken for thousands of kilometers. But in recent years, scientists have begun following these whales more closely than ever before. Small tracking devices, carefully attached to a whale's skin using suction cups, allow researchers to record its movements. These tags capture extraordinary data. They reveal the exact depths whales dive, the sounds they produce, even the acceleration of their bodies as they chase prey through the darkness. And what scientists have discovered from these tags is astonishing. Some sperm whales dive deeper than 3,000 meters. Others remain underwater for more than 90 minutes. During these dives, they travel through layers of ocean that have barely been explored by humans. Entire ecosystems exist there, ecosystems we know nothing about. In fact, some of the species discovered in sperm whales' stomachs have never been seen alive by scientists. The whales themselves may be our only window into these hidden worlds. But following whales into the deep has also revealed something else, something unexpected.
For decades, scientists believed they understood the limits of the ocean. They had mapped coastlines, charted currents, and studied the animals that surfaced often enough to be observed. To human researchers, the sea seemed vast but ultimately understandable. But sperm whales kept proving that assumption wrong. Because every time technology improved, every time scientists developed new ways to listen to the deep, something unexpected appeared in the data. Strange patterns, unusual behaviors, signals that hinted the whale's world might be far more complex than anyone had imagined. It began with listening. In the late 20th century, researchers started placing underwater microphones across large areas of the ocean. These devices, known as hydrophones, were originally developed for military purposes. Navies around the world used them to detect submarines during the Cold War. But when scientists began analyzing the recordings, they discovered something astonishing. The oceans were filled with voices. Not random sounds, not simple animal calls, structured patterns. Among the loudest and most frequent were the clicks of sperm whales. At first, researchers assumed these clicks were used only for echolocation, tools for navigation and hunting in the dark. But as more recordings were collected, a strange detail began to emerge. Some clicking patterns did not match hunting behavior at all. Instead of rapid bursts used to locate prey, these sounds followed slow, rhythmic sequences. Codas, short phrases made of carefully timed clicks. And what puzzled scientists most was that these codas appeared repeatedly in the same patterns, almost like repeated words. For years, researchers struggled to interpret what they were hearing. The ocean recordings were enormous, thousands of hours of sound. Human listeners could only analyze small portions of the data at a time. But then, technology took another leap forward. Artificial intelligence entered the picture. Powerful machine learning systems could analyze sound patterns across millions of clicks at once. Subtle variations that human ears might miss could suddenly be detected instantly. And when researchers fed sperm whale recordings into these systems, the results were surprising. The clicks were not random. They were structured. In fact, the AI identified dozens of distinct coda patterns used repeatedly by different whales. Some codas were short, 3 clicks. Others were longer, 7 or 8 clicks arranged in specific rhythms. But the real breakthrough came when scientists began linking these codas to individual whales. Because whales, like humans, have identities. Each sperm whale produces slightly different clicking sounds, almost like a vocal fingerprint. By studying these subtle differences, researchers could begin identifying which whale was making which sound. And suddenly, the recordings began to reveal something extraordinary. The whales were taking turns. One whale would produce a coda. A few seconds later, another would respond. Then another. The exchanges continued back and forth. In other words, the whales appeared to be having conversations. At first, many scientists were cautious about this interpretation. After all, human language is incredibly complex. It includes grammar, syntax, and layers of meaning. But the patterns emerging from sperm whale communication were difficult to ignore. Certain codas seemed to function like greetings. Others appeared during moments of excitement or social interaction. Some were produced repeatedly by specific individuals. And perhaps most fascinating of all, certain codas seemed to spread through a clan over time, almost like cultural trends. A new pattern might appear in one whale's repertoire. Weeks later, several other whales in the same clan would begin using it as well. It was as if ideas were spreading through their society. The deeper scientists looked into the whales' communication, the more mysterious it became. Because these animals were not just exchanging simple signals, they were participating in a complex network of sound that spanned entire ocean basins. A sperm whale's click can travel dozens of kilometers underwater, in quiet conditions, perhaps even farther. That means a whale calling in the deep Atlantic might be heard by another whale far beyond the horizon. And this possibility raises an extraordinary question. How large is the sperm whale communication network? Are small groups simply talking among themselves, or is there something bigger happening beneath the waves? Some researchers now believe sperm whales may be part of an enormous acoustic society stretching across entire oceans. If that idea is true, then the deep sea may contain one of the largest communication networks on Earth, one that humans are only beginning to detect. But understanding whale communication requires more than listening. Scientists also need to observe behavior. In recent years, researchers have begun using underwater drones and remote cameras to follow whales during their lives at sea. Sometimes the footage captures moments that seem almost eerily familiar. A group of whales gathered together at the surface, floating quietly, clicking softly back and forth. Occasionally, one whale touches another gently with its fins. The scene resembles something like a social gathering. Not hunting, not traveling, simply whales interacting with one another. In some recordings, whales even appear to synchronize their movements. They rise to the surface together, dive together, turn together. This level of coordination suggests that communication between them must be highly sophisticated. But perhaps the most fascinating discoveries involve young whales, because calves are not just passive members of their society, they are learners. Just like human children, young sperm whales spend years observing the adults around them. They listen carefully to codas. They practice making their own clicking sounds. At first, their attempts are clumsy, irregular bursts that do not match the clan's dialect. But over time, the improvements improve. Slowly, the calf begins producing the correct rhythms, the right pauses, the right timing. Eventually, the young whale becomes fluent in the language of its clan. And once it does, it becomes a full participant in the social life of the group. But not all sperm whales stay with their families forever. Male calves face a very different future. When young males reach adolescence, usually around the age of 10 to 12 years, something dramatic happens. They leave. Gradually, the young males drift away from their birth clan. Sometimes they join small groups of other males their age. These loose associations are known as bachelor pods. In these groups, the young males roam widely across the oceans. They dive deep, they hunt constantly, they grow and grow. Over the years, their bodies become enormous, much larger than the females they once lived beside. A fully grown male sperm whale can reach 18 meters in length and weigh more than 50 tons. They become the giants of their species. But adulthood for male sperm whales is often solitary. While females remain in tight family groups their entire lives,
Male adults spend much of their time alone. They wander through cold polar waters rich with squid. Occasionally, they return to warmer regions where female clans live. There, enormous males may encounter groups of females and calves. These encounters are important for reproduction, but they're brief. Soon, the male departs again, disappearing back into the vastness of the ocean. It's a lonely existence compared to the tightly bonded societies of the females, yet even solitary males continue communicating. Hydrophone recordings have detected their clicks traveling through deep ocean basins far from any visible companions. Who they're speaking to remains unclear. Perhaps other distant males, perhaps clans beyond the horizon, or perhaps their voices are simply echoes of a species whose conversations stretch across thousands of kilometers of sea. But just as scientists are beginning to understand these communication networks, another question has begun to emerge, a much deeper question. What if sperm whale communication is not just complex, but meaningful? What if their codas contain actual information, names, locations, warnings, instructions? If that is true, then decoding their communication could become one of the most important scientific breakthroughs of the century, because it would mean that humanity is not the only species on Earth capable of structured communication across large societies. It would mean that deep beneath the ocean's surface, another intelligent civilization has been speaking for millions of years, a civilization we're only now beginning to hear. But learning to understand that civilization may come with an uncomfortable realization, because if we eventually learn to understand the whales, they may also understand us. They hear our ships, they hear our sonar, they hear the constant noise of our machines spreading through the oceans. And as human activity continues expanding across the seas, one question becomes impossible to ignore. Are the whales already aware of us? And if they are, what do they think of the strange, noisy species that has suddenly begun filling their ancient...
For most of human history, the deep ocean kept its secrets well hidden. Ships crossed the surface. Sailors recorded sightings of whales and strange creatures. Occasionally, a carcass washed ashore, offering a brief glimpse into the mysteries below. But the true lives of sperm whales remained invisible. They spent too much time in darkness, they traveled too far from land, and the depths they explored were simply beyond human reach. Then, in the early 21st century, something changed. Technology began to catch up. Scientists developed new tools capable of following whales into environments that had once been completely inaccessible. Small recording devices, barely larger than a human hand, could now be attached gently to a whale's body using suction cups. These devices were called D-tags. For the first time, researchers could travel with a sperm whale, not physically, but through data. The tags recorded everything: sound, depth, movement, acceleration, every twist and turn of the whale's body during its dives into the abyss. When the tags eventually released and floated back to the surface, scientists recovered them and downloaded the recordings. What they discovered was astonishing. A single dive revealed a world far more dynamic than anyone had imagined. The whale descended through layers of the ocean like an explorer passing through different ecosystems. Near the surface, schools of fish scattered as the giant passed. Deeper down, the whale entered waters filled with strange drifting animals, jellyfish, glowing plankton, and small squid migrating upward from the depths. Then the whale continued downward, past 1,000 meters, past 2,000 meters. At these depths, the whale's behavior changed. The D-tag recordings captured rapid bursts of clicking as the whale searched for prey. Then the clicks accelerated into the familiar hunting buzz, signaling a chase in progress. Suddenly, the sensors detected violent motion, sharp turns, rapid acceleration. The whale lunged through the water. Moments later, everything went quiet again. Another successful hunt. Over the course of a single dive, the whale might repeat this process dozens of times. It was a reminder of just how active these animals are in the deep sea. But perhaps the most surprising discovery from the tags was how whales move through the darkness. Scientists had long imagined sperm whales drifting slowly through the deep. Instead, the data revealed something very different. They are incredibly agile. Despite their enormous size, sperm whales can perform tight turns and rapid vertical movements while chasing prey. Their bodies bend gracefully through the water, their massive tails generating powerful bursts of speed. In many ways, they behave more like giant predators than the slow-moving leviathans humans once imagined. But the tags also revealed something else, something even more mysterious. Because during certain dives, the whales began producing unusual clicking patterns, ones that did not match either hunting or social codas. The clicks were slower, more deliberate, and sometimes they were directed downward toward the seafloor. At first, researchers were puzzled. What were the whales listening for? Then one expedition provided a clue. While studying sperm whales in the Gulf of Mexico, scientists deployed underwater cameras deep in the ocean, far below the range of sunlight. The cameras captured something extraordinary. The seafloor was not empty. Instead, it was dotted with strange formations, giant mountains, ridges and valleys carved into the Earth's crust. And scattered across these landscapes were communities of deep-sea life, giant tube worms, cold water corals, and unusual fish species that rarely appear near the surface. These ecosystems form around places where chemicals leak slowly from the ocean floor. They are called cold seeps, and they are among the most unusual habitats on the planet. What researchers began to suspect was that sperm whales might be using sound to map these underwater landscapes. By sending powerful clicks downward and listening to the returning echoes, whales may be able to detect underwater ridges and slopes. These geological features can concentrate prey, creating natural hunting grounds in the deep sea. In other words, sperm whales might possess a kind of acoustic geography. They may carry detailed mental maps of underwater terrain, maps built entirely from sound. If this idea is correct, it would mean sperm whales navigate the ocean in ways humans barely understand. They do not rely on landmarks we can see. Instead, they read the shape of the world through echoes. Mountains, canyons, underwater plains stretching for kilometers, all of it revealed through sound. But mapping the ocean is only one part of the whale's remarkable abilities, because sperm whales are also masters of memory. Researchers studying whale migrations have discovered that many clans travel along the same routes year after year. They return to the same feeding grounds, the same breeding areas, sometimes separated by thousands of kilometers. And what is most remarkable is that these journeys are not random. They follow specific seasonal patterns. During certain months, whales may travel toward colder waters where squid populations are abundant. Later in the year, they return to warmer tropical regions where calves can be born and raised in safer conditions. These migrations can span entire ocean basins, and yet the whales rarely lose their way. How they navigate such vast distances remains one of the great mysteries of marine biology. Some scientists believe sperm whales may sense subtle variations in Earth's magnetic field, using it as a natural compass. Others suspect they rely heavily on underwater soundscapes, the echoes of waves breaking along distant coastlines, or the rumble of underwater geological activity. The truth may involve a combination of several senses working together. But whatever the mechanism, it allows sperm whales to move through one of the largest environments on Earth with astonishing precision. And yet, even with all these abilities, sperm whales remain vulnerable, because their ancient world is changing. The oceans that once seemed limitless are now increasingly crowded with human activity. Cargo ships cross the seas day and night, transporting goods between continents. Fishing vessels deploy enormous nets that stretch for kilometers beneath the surface.
Oil and gas exploration sends powerful seismic pulses through the water, searching for resources hidden beneath the seafloor. Each of these activities produces sound, sometimes constant, sometimes explosive, and sound travels incredibly far underwater. For whales whose lives revolve around hearing, this noise can reshape their environment completely. Imagine trying to hold a conversation in a room filled with blaring machinery. Voices become distorted, signals are missed, important messages disappear in the noise. For sperm whales, the consequences may be even more serious. Communication between clan members could be disrupted. Navigation echoes may become confused. Young calves learning their clan's dialect might struggle to hear the patterns they need to imitate. The deeper scientists study this problem, the more concerning the picture becomes. Some regions of the ocean are now 10 times louder than they were just 50 years ago, and the noise continues to grow. Yet, the whales persist. Every day, somewhere in the vastness of the ocean, sperm whales continue their ancient routines. They dive into darkness. They hunt creatures few humans have ever seen. They exchange patterns of clicks that may carry meanings we have yet to decipher. And sometimes, in the quiet moments between dives, they gather at the surface, floating together, breathing slowly, communicating in soft rhythms that echo through the water. Moments like these remind scientists that sperm whales are not just predators of the deep. They are members of a complex society that has existed for millions of years, long before the first human ships ever crossed the sea. But as we learn more about these extraordinary animals, one truth becomes increasingly clear. The story of sperm whales is no longer just about biology. It's about coexistence. Two intelligent species sharing the same planet, one living on land, the other hidden beneath kilometers of dark ocean water.
The deeper scientists listen to the ocean, the clearer one truth becomes. The sea is not silent. It never was. Beneath the surface, countless voices travel through the dark water. Clicks, whistles, pulses, and distant rumbles that echo across enormous distances. To the creatures who live there, the ocean is a world defined not by sight, but by sound. And among all those voices, the sperm whale remains one of the most powerful. Its clicks can travel for kilometers, cutting through the darkness like bursts of energy. Each pulse carries information, echoes returning from prey, signals exchanged between clan members, fragments of a language we are only beginning to understand. But for scientists trying to decode this language, a major problem remained. Listening was not enough. They needed context. Imagine trying to understand human speech by hearing random phone calls without seeing the people involved. You might hear words and tones, but without knowing what the speakers were doing at that moment, the meaning would remain unclear. The same challenge faced researchers studying whales. They could record thousands of clicks, but what did those clicks mean? To answer that question, scientists began launching one of the most ambitious research projects ever attempted in marine biology. A project called Project CT. CT stands for the Cetacean Translation Initiative, and its goal is extraordinary: to decode the language of sperm whales. The idea may sound like science fiction, but the tools available today are more powerful than anything researchers had in the past. Artificial intelligence systems can analyze enormous datasets, searching for patterns that humans might never notice. But first, scientists needed a massive library of whale communication. So they began collecting recordings on an unprecedented scale. Hydrophones were deployed across the ocean. Underwater drones followed whales for hours at a time. Recording devices attached to individual whales captured not only their clicks, but also their movements, depth changes, and interactions with other whales.
Every dive, every click, every conversation, all of it added to a growing database of whale communication. Over time, this dataset grew into millions of recorded clicks. Then the AI analysis began. Machine learning systems started sorting the sounds into categories. Codas were grouped by rhythm and structure. Subtle differences in timing and frequency were mapped across thousands of individuals. Slowly, patterns began to emerge. Certain codas appeared during moments when whales approached one another. Others occurred when groups were preparing to dive. Some were repeated by the same individuals again and again, almost like personal signatures. But one of the most fascinating discoveries involved timing, because sperm whales do not speak randomly. They take turns. One whale produces a coda, another waits, then replies. The pauses between these exchanges are surprisingly consistent, often only a few seconds long. It is strikingly similar to the rhythm of human conversation. This suggests that whales may be actively listening and responding to one another in real time, not simply broadcasting sounds into the ocean, but participating in structured dialogue. And if that is true, it opens the door to an extraordinary possibility. What if sperm whales have something similar to names? In many social animals, individuals use unique signals to identify themselves. Dolphins, for example, produce signature whistles that function almost like names. Some researchers suspect sperm whales might do something similar using specific coda patterns. If that hypothesis proves correct, it would mean whales are not just communicating about their environment, they may also be identifying one another within their society. But the mystery of whale communication extends even deeper, because codas are only part of the story. In addition to these rhythmic patterns, sperm whales produce subtle variations in their echolocation clicks, tiny differences in pitch, timing, and intensity. These variations may carry additional layers of information, layers that are extremely difficult for human listeners to detect. Yet artificial intelligence systems excel at analyzing such details. By comparing millions of clicks across thousands of recordings, researchers hope to identify structures that resemble vocabulary or grammar. It is a monumental task, but progress is already being made. Some scientists believe they may have identified phonetic units within sperm whale codas, small building blocks of sound that combine to form larger patterns. If that idea holds true, sperm whale communication might be far more complex than anyone previously imagined, perhaps even approaching the complexity of human language. And that possibility raises an astonishing question. If sperm whales truly possess a structured communication system, what are they talking about? Are they sharing information about food, about predators, about distant clans? Or are their conversations more social, discussing relationships, experiences, or memories? At the moment, no one knows, but researchers believe the answer may lie in observing whales during key moments of their lives. Moments like birth. Because the arrival of a new calf is one of the most important events in a sperm whale clan. When a female gives birth, the entire group often gathers around her. The newborn calf emerges into the water tail first, an adaptation that prevents it from drowning during delivery. Within moments, the mother gently nudges the calf towards the surface for its first breath. The calf inhales air for the first time. Its life in the ocean has begun. But birth is only the beginning. For the next several years, the calf will remain close to its mother, nursing on rich milk that contains nearly 40% fat, more than 10 times richer than human milk. This high-energy diet helps the calf grow rapidly. Within a few years, it will double its size, then triple it. But the calf is not only learning how to grow, it is also learning how to live within its society. The young whale listens constantly to the sounds around it. Clicks, codas, soft pulses exchanged between the adults. At first, the calf's own sounds are simple, awkward bursts that lack the precise timing of adult codas. But slowly, with practice, the patterns improve. The calf begins imitating the rhythms it hears. Click, click. Pause. Click, click, click. The building blocks of whale communication. Watching this process unfold, scientists can't help noticing the parallels with human childhood. Language, learning, imitation. Culture passed from one generation to the next. It suggests that sperm whale societies may be far more sophisticated than we once believed. But these societies now face challenges unlike anything they encountered during their long evolutionary history. Because the modern ocean is changing faster than ever before. Plastic pollution drifts across vast areas of sea. Fishing lines and nets sometimes entangle whales, trapping them in deadly gear. And climate change is altering the distribution of prey species throughout the ocean. Squid populations, the primary food source for sperm whales, may shift to new regions as ocean temperatures change. If that happens, whale migration patterns could be disrupted. Entire clans might be forced to travel farther in search of food. Young calves could face longer and more difficult journeys during the early years of their lives. These changes may already be happening. But the most dramatic threat still comes from sound. The ocean is becoming louder every year. And for animals whose world is built entirely around sound, the consequences could be profound. If communication becomes harder, if hunting becomes more difficult, if the acoustic maps whales rely on become distorted, then the delicate balance of their society may begin to change. Yet despite all these challenges, sperm whales have survived for millions of years. They endured ice ages, mass extinctions, shifting oceans and changing climates. Their civilization beneath the waves is ancient, far older than humanity's. And perhaps that long history holds an important lesson. Because the deeper we study these animals, the more we realize something remarkable. The ocean is not just a wilderness filled with creatures. It is a world filled with voices. Voices that have been speaking long before we learned to listen. And somewhere out
For thousands of years, the deep ocean protected the sperm whale. Its immense size made it one of the most formidable animals on Earth. Few predators dared challenge it, and the depths it explored were so extreme that almost no other creature could follow. But in the modern world, danger does not always come from predators. Sometimes it comes from something much smaller, something drifting silently through the sea: plastic. Today, nearly every corner of the ocean contains traces of human waste. Bottles, bags, fishing lines, and fragments of broken packaging drift across the water's surface. Over time, waves and sunlight break these objects into smaller and smaller pieces. Eventually, they become microplastics, tiny particles sometimes smaller than grains of sand. These particles spread through the entire ocean. They sink into deep waters, they settle on the seafloor, and they are swallowed by countless marine animals. For sperm whales, the danger is particularly serious. Although whales primarily hunt squid in the deep sea, they must return regularly to the surface to breathe. During these moments, floating debris can accidentally enter their mouths. Plastic bags may resemble jellyfish or squid in the water. Fishing ropes can become entangled around a whale's jaw. Sometimes the whale swallows the object before realizing what it is. Unlike natural prey, plastic cannot be digested. It remains trapped in the stomach.
In some tragic cases, whales have washed ashore with dozens of plastic objects inside their bodies. Bottles, packaging, even entire fishing nets. These materials block the digestive system, preventing the animal from eating normally. Slowly, the whale starves. One such case shocked the world. In 2019, a young sperm whale stranded itself along the coast of Italy. When scientists examined the animal, they discovered nearly 50 pounds of plastic inside its stomach. Fishing nets, plastic bags, household waste. The whale had died with a stomach full of garbage. Events like this are heartbreaking reminders that even the largest animals on Earth are not immune to the consequences of human activity. But plastic pollution is only one part of a much larger problem, because the modern ocean is becoming increasingly crowded. Every year, tens of thousands of ships cross the world's seas. Massive cargo vessels carry goods between continents. Tankers transport oil and natural gas. Cruise ships carry thousands of passengers across popular travel routes. Many of these vessels pass directly through regions where sperm whales live and hunt, and sometimes the encounters are deadly. Ship strikes have become a growing threat to large whales. A fully loaded cargo ship can weigh more than 200,000 tons. When such a vessel collides with a whale at high speed, the outcome is almost always fatal for the animal. Because sperm whales spend long periods resting or socializing near the surface, they are particularly vulnerable. A whale resting quietly may not detect the approach of a ship until it is too late. The impact can cause severe internal injuries or instant death. Many whales sink after being struck, meaning the true number of collisions may never be fully known. But scientists are working to reduce these risks. In some regions, shipping lanes have been adjusted to avoid important whale habitats. Ships may be required to slow down when passing through areas known to contain large whale populations. Even small reductions in speed can dramatically increase a whale's chances of surviving a collision. These efforts are beginning to show promising results. But protecting sperm whales involves more than preventing accidents. It also requires understanding how they live. And in recent years, scientists have begun uncovering something remarkable about the role sperm whales play in the ocean's ecosystem. Because these giants of the deep are not just predators, they are also engineers of the ocean. Every time a sperm whale dives to hunt, it brings nutrients from the deep sea back towards the surface. After feeding thousands of meters below the waves, the whale eventually returns to breathe. And when it does, it releases waste into the upper layers of the ocean. This waste is rich in nutrients, especially iron, a crucial element for microscopic plants known as phytoplankton. Phytoplankton float near the ocean's surface using sunlight to grow. They form the base of the marine food web, supporting everything from tiny fish to enormous whales. But phytoplankton require iron to thrive. In many parts of the ocean, iron is extremely scarce. That is where whales come in. By releasing nutrient-rich waste near the surface, sperm whales fertilize the water around them. The result is increased growth of phytoplankton, and phytoplankton do something incredibly important. They absorb carbon dioxide from the atmosphere during photosynthesis. This means that whales indirectly help regulate Earth's climate. In fact, scientists now believe that healthy whale populations may play a small but meaningful role in reducing the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Each whale contributes to this process throughout its lifetime, and when a whale eventually dies, something extraordinary happens. Its body sinks, slowly descending through the water column until it reaches the ocean floor. There, the whale becomes what scientists call a whale fall. A single whale carcass can support an entire deep-sea ecosystem for decades. Sharks and scavenger fish arrive first, feeding on the soft tissues. Later, specialized bacteria and strange deep-sea organisms consume the remaining bones and oils. Some species found on whale falls exist nowhere else on Earth. These ecosystems may survive for 30 years or more from the nutrients of a single whale. In this way, even in death, sperm whales continue supporting life in the deep ocean. They are not just inhabitants of the sea, they are architects of its ecosystems. But perhaps the most profound discoveries about sperm whales have nothing to do with their physical role in the environment. Instead, they involve their behavior, because researchers studying whales have occasionally witnessed something deeply emotional, moments that suggest sperm whales may experience complex feelings. In several documented cases, whales have been seen remaining beside a dead companion for hours or even days. They circle the body, touch it gently. Sometimes they attempt to lift it towards the surface. These behaviors resemble mourning. Similar actions have been observed in elephants and some primates, animals known for their strong social bonds. While scientists are careful not to assign human emotions too easily, these observations suggest sperm whales possess rich social lives. They recognize individuals, they form lasting relationships, and they may feel the loss of members within their clans. The more we learn about these animals, the harder it becomes to see them as simple creatures of instinct. Instead, they appear increasingly like members of a complex society, one that has evolved over millions of years beneath the waves. A society with its own traditions, its own communication systems, its own ways of raising young and protecting one another, and perhaps even its own understanding of the world around them. Yet for all the progress scientists have made, the sperm whale remains deeply mysterious. Most of its life still unfolds in darkness. Most of its conversations remain undeciphered. Most of its journeys take place far beyond the reach of human observation. But with every new expedition, every new recording, every new discovery, the picture becomes a little clearer. The giants of the deep are not silent. They are members of a living network, families, clans, and cultures connected through sound across the vastness of the sea. And as humanity continues learning to listen, we may be approaching a remarkable moment in history. The moment when we finally begin to understand what the whales have been saying all along. A conversation millions of years in the making, echoing through the darkest waters of our planet, waiting for an answer.
In the vastness of the open ocean, there are moments when the surface becomes strangely still. The wind fades, the waves settle, and the horizon stretches in every direction like an endless mirror of blue. Then, suddenly, the calm is broken. A tall column of mist erupts from the water. A sperm whale has surfaced. The whale exhales with a powerful breath, releasing a plume of vapor nearly 6 meters into the air. To sailors long ago, this sudden burst of life rising from the sea must have felt almost supernatural. A giant appearing from nowhere, a creature that had just returned from a world humans could not enter. For centuries, these moments were the only glimpses humanity had of sperm whales. The rest of their lives remained hidden beneath kilometers of dark water. But in the modern age, our ability to follow these giants has improved dramatically. Satellites orbiting high above the Earth can now help scientists track whale migrations across entire oceans. Tiny tracking transmitters, carefully attached to whales with temporary suction tags, record their movements in astonishing detail. And slowly, a picture is emerging. A picture of journeys that stretch across some of the largest distances traveled by any animal on the planet. Some sperm whales migrate thousands of kilometers every year. They move between warm tropical waters and colder feeding grounds near the edges of the polar seas. These journeys follow ancient routes passed down through generations, routes that whales have likely followed for tens of thousands of years. A clan may travel across entire ocean basins, yet still return to the same feeding areas year after year.
It is a remarkable display of navigation and memory. But these migrations are not just about food. They are also about family. Female sperm whales spend nearly their entire lives within the same clan. Mothers, daughters, sisters, and grandmothers remain together, forming stable social groups that can last for decades. Within these clans, each member plays a role. Some are experienced hunters, others act as guardians for young calves. Some may even function as leaders, older females who remember migration routes and feeding grounds that younger whales have never seen before. In many ways, sperm whale clans resemble the matriarchal societies found in elephants. Wisdom passes from one generation to the next, and survival often depends on the knowledge of the elders. One of the most touching examples of this cooperation involves newborn calves. A baby sperm whale enters the world already enormous, nearly 4 meters long and weighing more than a ton. Yet, despite its size, the calf is extremely vulnerable. Its muscles are weak, its diving ability is limited, and it must breathe frequently. During the calf's early months, its mother rarely leaves its side. When she needs to dive deep to hunt, other members of the clan step in to help. Aunts and older females remain near the surface with the calf, gently guiding it and protecting it from danger. Scientists call this behavior babysitting. It is another sign of the strong social bonds that exist within whale families. For the calf, these early years are a time of rapid learning. The young whale practices swimming, it experiments with shallow dives, it listens carefully to the sounds of its clan, and slowly it begins to develop the skills it will need to survive in the deep ocean. But not all members of the clan will remain together forever. Male sperm whales eventually leave. As young males grow larger and stronger, they begin drifting away from their birth groups. This departure marks the beginning of a very different life. Male whales often travel alone or in small bachelor groups, roaming enormous areas of ocean in search of food. Over the years, the males grow into the true giants of their species. Some may reach lengths of 18 meters, longer than a city bus. Their heads become enormous, filled with the mysterious spermatocyte organ that helps produce their powerful sonar clicks. And their bodies accumulate scars from countless encounters in the deep. Scars left by squid hooks, by rival males, and sometimes by predators, because even giants are not completely safe in the ocean. One of the few animals capable of threatening a sperm whale is the orca, also known as the killer whale. Orcas are highly intelligent hunters that work together in coordinated groups. While they rarely attack adult sperm whales, they sometimes target calves or smaller females. When this happens, sperm whales respond with extraordinary teamwork. Members of the clan gather together in a tight defensive formation known as the marguerite. The whales arrange themselves in a circle with their heads pointing inward and their massive tails facing outward. The calves remain protected in the center. If an orca attempts to approach, the adult whales strike outward with powerful tail slaps. These blows can be devastating. A single strike from a sperm whale's tail can break bones or seriously injure a predator. Working together, the clan becomes a living fortress. In many cases, the orcas eventually retreat. But these dramatic encounters are rarely seen by humans. Most occur far from ships or coastlines. Once again, the real lives of sperm whales unfold in a hidden world beyond our sight. Yet, despite this secrecy, our understanding of these animals continues to grow, and perhaps the most fascinating discoveries involve their intelligence. The brain of a sperm whale is the largest brain of any animal that has ever lived. It can weigh up to 9 kilograms, more than 5 times heavier than a human brain. But brain size alone does not determine intelligence. What truly fascinates scientists is how sperm whales behave. They recognize individuals, they cooperate during hunts, they share knowledge across generations, and they communicate using structured patterns of sound that may carry complex meaning. Some researchers now believe sperm whales possess something very rare in the animal kingdom: culture. Different clans exhibit different behaviors, different hunting strategies, different dialects of Codus. These differences are not determined by genetics. Instead, they are learned, passed from whale to whale, from mother to calf, just like traditions in human societies. If this idea is correct, then the ocean may contain multiple sperm whale cultures living side by side, each with its own unique way of life. And yet, despite their incredible abilities, sperm whales remain vulnerable, because the modern ocean is changing faster than at any point in their long evolutionary history. Rising ocean temperatures may alter the distribution of squid populations. Plastic pollution spreads through even the most remote waters. Ship traffic increases every year, and the growing noise of human activity continues to reshape the underwater soundscape. For whales whose lives revolve around sound, this change may be one of the greatest challenges they have ever faced. Yet the whales continue their ancient journeys. They dive into darkness. They hunt in the midnight zone. They gather at the surface to rest and communicate. Their voices echo through the ocean in bursts of clicks that carry across enormous distances. Messages traveling through water long after the whales themselves have disappeared into the depths. And somewhere out there, in the quiet spaces between those echoes, an extraordinary possibility remains. One day, humanity may finally learn to understand those messages, to decode the language of the whales. And when that day comes, we may discover that the giants of the deep have been telling stories of their own. Stories of migration, of family, of ancient oceans older than human civilization. Stories spoken in rhythms of sound that have echoed through the sea for millions of years, waiting patiently for someone to listen closely enough to hear them.
Night falls over the open ocean. Above the surface, the sky fills with stars stretching endlessly from horizon to horizon. Below the water, another kind of darkness takes hold, a darkness so deep that sunlight has never touched it. This is the midnight zone, one of the most mysterious regions on Earth. And it is here that the sperm whale truly becomes a master hunter. When a whale begins a deep dive, the descent is slow at first. The massive animal tilts downward, lifting its broad tail high above the water before slipping silently beneath the surface. Within minutes, the last traces of sunlight disappear. The temperature drops. The pressure increases dramatically, yet the sperm whale continues downward, diving deeper than almost any other mammal on the planet. Some dives reach depths of 1,000 meters. Others have been recorded at more than 2,000 meters. At these depths, the pressure is over 200 times greater than what humans experience at sea level. For most creatures, such conditions would be instantly fatal. But sperm whales are built for this world. Their bodies contain special adaptations that allow them to survive these crushing pressures. Their lungs collapse safely during deep dives, preventing dangerous nitrogen buildup in their blood. Their muscles store large amounts of oxygen using a molecule called myoglobin, allowing them to remain underwater for incredibly long periods. A single dive may last 45 minutes, sometimes even longer. And all the while, the whale is searching for prey in total darkness. Here, vision is almost useless. Instead, the sperm whale relies on one of the most powerful biological sonar systems on Earth. From deep within its enormous head, the whale produces a rapid series of sharp clicks. Each click travels through the water as a focused sound pulse. When these pulses strike an object, a squid, a fish, or even another whale, they bounce back as echoes. The returning echoes reveal the shape, size, and distance of whatever lies ahead. To the whale, the dark ocean becomes a detailed acoustic map. Scientists estimate that sperm whale clicks can reach over 230 decibels, making them among the loudest sounds produced by any animal. The sound is so powerful that it can travel for kilometers through the deep ocean. And when the whale locks onto prey, its clicking pattern changes dramatically.
the slow, spaced clicks suddenly accelerate into a rapid-fire burst known as a buzz. This buzzing sound is the final stage of the hunt. The whale is closing in. In the darkness ahead, a giant squid may be trying desperately to escape. Giant squid are formidable creatures in their own right. With long tentacles lined with powerful suction cups and sharp hooks, they are capable of fighting back against even the largest predators. For centuries, sailors told terrifying stories about monstrous squid attacking ships. But in reality, the true battle happens far below the surface, between squid and whales. When a sperm whale encounters a large squid, the struggle can be intense. The squid lashes out with its tentacles, leaving circular scars across the whale's skin. Scientists have found countless sperm whales covered in these marks, permanent evidence of battles fought in the deep. Yet the whale usually wins. With a sudden lunge, the giant predator captures its prey. The squid disappears into the whale's massive jaws. Unlike many predators, sperm whales do not chew their food, they swallow it whole. A large adult whale may consume up to a ton of squid in a single day, and over a lifetime, that adds up to an astonishing number of deep-sea hunts. But hunting in the darkness is not without danger. In rare cases, whales may dive so deeply and chase prey so intensely that they push their bodies close to their physical limits. The journey back to the surface becomes a race against time. Gradually, the whale begins its ascent. The clicks slow down. The powerful tail strokes carry the giant upward through layer after layer of dark water. After nearly an hour in the deep, the surface finally approaches. Then suddenly, the whale bursts back into the world of air and light. With a tremendous exhale, it releases a towering plume of mist. The sound of that breath can carry across the ocean. For the whale, this moment is more than just a breath of air. It is a return from another world, a world that humans are only beginning to explore. In fact, much of what we know about deep-sea hunting comes from tiny data recorders placed temporarily on whales by marine scientists. These tags record depth, sound, and movement during dives. When they detach and float to the surface, researchers recover them and analyze the data. The results have revealed extraordinary patterns. Some whales perform dozens of deep dives every day. Others alternate between shallow resting dives and deep hunting missions. And sometimes, several whales from the same clan dive into the darkness together. Whether they coordinate their hunts or simply follow similar prey remains an open question. But the data hints at a level of complexity we still do not fully understand. And the deeper scientists look into the lives of sperm whales, the more mysteries appear. One of the greatest mysteries involves their communication. The codas exchanged between whales may not just be simple signals, they may form a structured system, something closer to a language. Researchers are now using advanced artificial intelligence to analyze thousands of whale clicks and patterns. Their goal is ambitious: to decode the meaning hidden within those sounds. If successful, it could change our understanding of animal intelligence forever, because it would mean that somewhere in the vast oceans of Earth, another species may be holding conversations of its own, conversations carried through water instead of air, and spoken in bursts of sound instead of words. For now, those conversations remain mostly hidden from us. But every year, new discoveries bring us closer to understanding the secret lives of these ocean giants. And the story of the sperm whale, one of Earth's most extraordinary animals, is far from finished.
For centuries, the lives of sperm whales remained almost completely hidden from human understanding. Sailors saw them only briefly: a distant spout on the horizon, a massive tail disappearing beneath the waves, and then they were gone again. But during the 18th and 19th centuries, humans began pursuing sperm whales with an intensity that would change both our history and theirs forever. This was the age of whaling. At the time, one substance made sperm whales incredibly valuable: spermaceti oil. Inside the giant head of the sperm whale lies the spermaceti organ, a chamber filled with a waxy liquid that was highly prized by humans. When refined, this oil burned brighter and cleaner than almost any other fuel available in that era. It became essential for lamps, candles, lubricants, and industrial machinery. Entire economies grew around the hunt for these animals. Whaling ships began sailing across the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans in search of sperm whales. Small wooden boats would be lowered from the main ship. Harpooners would row silently toward their target. Then, at the right moment, the hunter would stand and throw a heavy iron harpoon directly into the whale's body. What followed was known among whalers as the Nantucket sleigh ride. The wounded whale would dive and swim with incredible power, dragging the small boat behind it at terrifying speeds across the open ocean. Sometimes the chase lasted hours. Sometimes the whale escaped, but often the whale eventually weakened. More harpoons would follow, until the giant animal finally died. It was a brutal process, and it happened on a massive scale. By the early 1800s, whaling fleets from Europe and North America had spread across nearly every major ocean. Thousands of sperm whales were killed every year. Some historians estimate that hundreds of thousands of sperm whales were hunted during the peak of the whaling industry. Their oil lit the streets of growing cities, their bodies fueled industrial expansion, and their populations began to decline. The dangers of whaling were not only faced by whales. The hunt was incredibly risky for the sailors as well. Sperm whales are powerful animals, capable of defending themselves when attacked. There are historical accounts of whales striking boats with their tails, overturning vessels, and even damaging large ships. One of the most famous events occurred in 1820 when the sperm whale rammed and sank the American whaling ship Essex in the Pacific Ocean. The survivors drifted at sea for months in small boats before rescue. The dramatic story later helped inspire one of the most famous novels ever written, Moby Dick. In the novel, the great white whale becomes a symbol of nature's immense power and mystery. Although the story is fictional, it reflects the intense and often dangerous relationship humans once had with these ocean giants. Fortunately, the era of large-scale commercial whaling eventually began to decline. By the mid-20th century, electric lighting and petroleum products replaced whale oil. Public awareness about wildlife conservation also began to grow. In 1986, the International Whaling Commission implemented a global moratorium on commercial whaling. For sperm whales, this decision came just in time. After centuries of hunting, their populations had been dramatically reduced. Estimates suggest that global sperm whale numbers may have fallen to a third or less of their original population. Since the moratorium, many whale populations have shown signs of slow recovery, but the scars of the past remain. Sperm whales reproduce slowly. A female gives birth only once every 4 to 6 years. This means that rebuilding their populations takes decades, sometimes centuries. And today, whales face new threats very different from harpoons. Modern oceans are filled with hazards created by human activity. Large cargo ships cross the seas day and night, and collisions with whales can be deadly. Fishing gear sometimes entangles whales, preventing them from swimming or feeding properly. Plastic pollution spreads through ocean ecosystems, affecting the food chain that whales depend on. Perhaps most concerning of all is noise pollution. The ocean was once a relatively quiet environment dominated by natural sounds, waves, storms, and the calls of marine animals. But modern shipping, naval sonar, and underwater construction have dramatically increased background noise levels. For sperm whales, whose lives depend heavily on sound, this change can be deeply disruptive. Their echolocation clicks may be masked by human noise. Communication between clan members may become more difficult. In some cases, loud sonar has even been linked to mass whale strandings. Scientists and conservationists are now working to better understand these challenges. New technologies allow researchers to monitor whale populations, track migrations, and map underwater noise levels. Some shipping companies are experimenting with slower ship speeds in areas where whales are common. Even small changes can reduce the risk of deadly collisions.
Marine protected areas are also expanding in some parts of the world. These regions aim to provide safer habitats where whales can feed, migrate, and raise their young with less disturbance. Still, the future of sperm whales depends heavily on the choices humans make in the coming decades. After all, these animals have been roaming Earth's oceans for millions of years. They survived ice ages. They adapted to massive changes in climate and sea levels. But the rapid transformation of the modern ocean is something entirely new. And yet, despite everything, sperm whales continue their ancient lives. They still dive into the deepest waters. They still hunt giant squid in total darkness. They still gather at the surface in family groups, exchanging rhythmic patterns of clicks that echo through the sea. Somewhere in the vast blue wilderness of the ocean, a clan of whales may be swimming together right now. A grandmother guiding the group, a mother watching her calf, young whales learning the sounds and traditions of their family. Their story stretches across generations, across oceans, across time itself. And perhaps the most remarkable thing of all is that this story is still unfolding, because the oceans remain full of mysteries, and the sperm whale, the giant with the largest brain on Earth, may still have secrets left to reveal.
As the sun begins to rise over the ocean, a soft golden light spreads across the surface of the water. For a moment, everything feels calm. The waves move slowly, the wind is gentle, and the vast sea stretches endlessly in every direction. Somewhere beneath this quiet surface, a sperm whale is rising from another deep dive. After nearly an hour in the darkness below, the giant returns to the world of light and air. The whale breaks the surface and exhales a powerful breath, sending a tall, misty plume into the morning sky. This breath is more than just air leaving its lungs. It is the signal that another successful journey into the deep has come to an end. For millions of years, sperm whales have followed this same rhythm of life. Dive, hunt, return to the surface, breathe, rest, and then dive again. It is a cycle that has repeated countless times across the oceans of Earth. And while each whale lives its own life, its story is connected to something much larger, a living network of families, clans, and generations that share the same ancient seas. Young calves grow under the protection of their mothers and aunts. They learn the sounds of their clan. They practice diving, swimming, and navigating the enormous underwater world around them. Slowly, year by year, they become part of the long tradition of whale life. Some will travel thousands of kilometers across open oceans. Some will face predators or storms. Some will lead future generations through the same waters their ancestors once crossed. And through it all, the whales continue communicating in their mysterious patterns of clicks and codas. Their voices echo through the deep ocean, sometimes traveling for miles through the dark water. We may not fully understand their language yet, but we know that those sounds carry meaning. Messages passed between mothers and calves, signals shared among members of a clan, perhaps even stories of places, journeys, and dangers. In many ways, the ocean is like a vast, unseen world filled with conversations we are only beginning to hear. And the sperm whale stands as one of the greatest symbols of that hidden world. A creature of incredible intelligence, a deep-sea hunter capable of diving farther than almost any other mammal, a member of complex families that care for each other and share knowledge across generations. For centuries, humans saw whales only as resources to be hunted, but today our understanding is changing. We now see them for what they truly are, remarkable beings that play an important role in the health of the ocean. Their movements help cycle nutrients through the sea. Their lives are deeply connected to the balance of marine ecosystems, and their presence reminds us how mysterious and powerful the natural world still is. The truth is, the oceans cover more than 70% of our planet, yet much of this enormous world remains unexplored. Every year, scientists discover new species, new behaviors, and new mysteries hidden beneath the waves, and sperm whales are helping lead that discovery. By studying their movements, their sounds, and their deep-sea hunts, researchers are slowly unlocking secrets of the ocean that were once impossible to observe. But protecting these giants is also part of that journey. The future of sperm whales depends on healthier oceans, quieter seas, and careful conservation efforts across the world. If we succeed, future generations may continue to witness one of the most extraordinary animals ever to live on Earth. A creature that can dive 2 kilometers into darkness, a creature with the largest brain in any animal in history, a creature whose voice still echoes through the deep oceans of our planet. And somewhere, right now, far out at sea, another whale is beginning its dive. The giant tail lifts above the surface. The massive body slowly disappears beneath the water, and within seconds, the ocean closes quietly above it. The whale is gone again, returning to the silent depths where its ancient story continues. Thank you for joining this journey into the hidden world of sperm whales. If you enjoyed learning about these incredible ocean giants, don't forget to like the video, share it with others, and subscribe for more amazing stories from the natural world. And until next time, thanks for watching.